All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Watches and Style channel. I'm here with a special guest, actually, a regular panelist, really, Aussie Expat. How are you, Oz?
Good to be on. Good to speak to you as always, and happy to share.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because you are going to share with us a piece that puts you in the company of some of the great collectors of our time, like David Beckham, like Mark Wahlberg, like Erling Haaland as well, who,
Right.
even though he's a Breitling End or C, wears anything but, it seems. So, so he wears this watch you are going to reveal here as well, among
Yes.
many other things. Um, Now, of course, some might know, some might not. So we will perhaps, um, not necessarily skip the guessing game, but talk about your journey a
Just yeah,
little bit.
just to allude to it a little bit, I guess. So
And
first of all, I'm a big fan of Tudor,
yes,
um,
and Rolex,
and
of course. No?
yes, well, yeah, the one in the same, right? I really don't split the hairs too much. They're not the same watches for sure, like
Yeah.
they used to be, kind of. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Tudor. First up, this is like generation one hat. Okay, so we'll go through some
Collectible.
Tudor swag.
Collectible.
This is kind of it's a nice hat overall. Like the embroidery is like it's huge, but
What's
there is a
the what's the generation two like? Like, well, how does this
yeah. So I denote it, and I don't know. Like for sure, Tudor made baseball hats forever, right? But I don't know. But certainly of this design. So oh, there we go. We unboxed the hair as well. Um,
uh the
but
locks, the locks.
so the Gen One I characterize by having this Velcro strap, and I'm okay with Velcro. The problem is like I've got a small head and I've got enough Velcro, like maybe 3 millimeters. That's as much that I and then that's what fits. So this hat fits nobody. I'm pretty sure they discovered that quickly enough. This is generation two where they put a proper buckle on it. So
Nice.
this is nice. This is actually nice. But as you can see with the cardboard still in, I haven't actually gotten around to wearing it. I just wear the other one. Like it's not great, but it does fit with the little bit of Velcro. But no real difference between the two.
But it's the generation one is the collectible now. You have to
Yeah, maybe.
you have to put it aside. You have to put it aside.
But check out this one. This one. This one's good. This one isn't just a bug fix.
What is that?
Whoa.
Ooh, with the Born to Dare patch as well on the side.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know how I feel about that, but certainly the red ribbed lining here, and then the black on black shield. This is pretty cool.
I
This is pretty
actually,
cool.
I get what you mean. I mean, I have no problem with the brand's own motto and their willingness to push it, but there is a subtlety that tone on tone logo gives the cap that's taken away immediately by that red patch.
Right, right. Yeah, it's all a little bit of a wink and a nod. It's not in your face until you get to the patch.
Yeah,
Um, but it's a nice hat. They've really stepped it up. And hey, man, it's free advertising. The fact that you have to beg for swag is so silly sometimes. What do we got here?
I know. It's something. I mean, I think that can be part of our conversation, right? How access to brands and certain kinds of watches has really changed, and that has the potential to sour a lot of people to the experience of buying watches at retail, for sure. I do want to share this before we go anywhere. Our friend, this in the official currency of the channel, 6 shekels. Respectos to the OGs and congrats to Aussie Expat. And Rocco Salvatore also salutes Oz right
Thank
there.
you. Thank you, gentlemen. I can never put hats on properly. I'm not a hat wearer. I never get it right. Like
There's a
it's
proper way. How is there a
well,
proper way to put on a
centered. I don't know. It's just my either my head's not level or the hat is not level. Like what's
you know, you
the
just cock it to the side a little bit. You know, some
uh,
people like wearing a flat brim. Some people, you know, make it
yeah.
kind of a duck bill. It's just your style, man. Just you know, it's swag, like you said. You know,
Yeah.
you just go with it. You just show it. Cheap marketing hats in a relaxed format. Well, look,
Yes.
yeah, I love swag. You know, I'm unabashedly love it. I know you have an aspiring collection of that as well, including much desirable aspirational plush toys too, like the Rolex Penguin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I
Yep.
haven't seen
My
anywhere
penguin's
else,
still
by
there.
the way. You know, like
I think it's very rare.
it is quite rare.
Like put it this way, it's more rare than Daytonas. Like you don't not everyone with a gold Daytona just gets a the plush penguin. Maybe not even the Platona. I don't know. Like the swag that they hand out is like I've never seen someone with the plush penguin. I don't know if people want to see it. I've got it around the back somewhere. Hold on, I'll go get it. Hold on. One camera to another. Yeah, switch to the other camera.
Ali Reza says YB throws back that bottle a little. Should I switch to the other camera?
Yeah, you can switch. You can switch.
Uh, too vigorously for water. I think it's hooch. Look, I mean, it's you know, it can be a clear colored drink, right? You know, it can be a vodka, it can be tequila. Yeah, that's the famous Rolex Penguin.
Yeah. So it came in a huge box and it had the same Rolex white tags that the watches have. So it came through their same distribution system. But yeah, it was like a gift for my daughter when she was like 1 year old, and it's beautiful.
It
Yeah.
really is. It's very cute.
My understanding is that it really links to some of the activities of the charity. It's some of the stuff that they actually put on the website. I believe there's like a conservation project with the penguins. So
Man,
this one was a very special piece. So it was delivered to me via UPS or something like that. So it wasn't delivered in store.
amazing. CloudCan says Tudor makes their hats like their watches smaller little by little. And Dr. Bob's leans hard on my vegan image, saying hard kombucha. I actually hate kombucha. Dude, I should fuck it, man. I should start eating meat. Like it's giving me a really bad rep, this lifestyle choice. Like, you know, people really think that I'm like the garden variety California liberal, you know,
All
just
right.
because I don't eat meat. They think I drink kombucha. They think all sorts of things. It's ridiculous.
Hey, there are worse things to drink than kombucha. It's just expensive, that's all, and a pain in the ass to make yourself. Like it's not worth it. But yeah. Um, okay, maybe we'll do a quick wristwatch check. So
Yeah, that would be
we,
great.
I think every stream should really start off with about 1 hour
Quick, quick,
observation.
quick wrist watch check.
But yeah, a
Hulk,
quick
Rolex
one
Hulk.
hour observation of that the Hulk is the best Rolex ever made. Um,
I, I'm a vintage guy, but I
yeah,
find that statement hard to disagree with. Honestly, I
yeah.
genuinely do. I'm not just, I love you. But I don't need
Hmm.
to kiss up to you
Oh, yeah,
needlessly.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, it's just such a unique piece, and having it discontinued now and replaced by something that's still quite desirable but not exactly the same thing makes it even worthier. And I sometimes think back and marvel at the fact that this existed in the catalog at the same time when you had the white gold Smurf, right? So you had
Yes.
like, two very special and two very different Submariner pieces that had that it factor, and especially this one still registering for the most part as something quite subtle, at least in a controlled inside interior environment.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to remember as well that that came out at a time before green dials were so hype, right? That it
Yeah, and
wasn't.
it was really not fashionable to be making any colored dial, honestly, at that time. It was like just not really cool. Like it was, during the depths, the bottom of the financial crisis. People were so beaten down already. No one really wanted to look at anything of any significant value. It's like time to start a new life, and a lot of people did around that time. To go back to school, MBA, that sort of thing. So we got, obviously the swag came with something.
Ooh,
So came
it
with a
is
pouch
Tudor.
from Bucharest. I really don't know what this pouch is. I mean, this is
It's an
huge.
interesting size, no?
I don't really understand. I mean, it's something to throw into the bag for you, but like it's cavernous, right? I don't I don't know what I'm not putting a watch in there. Feels nice, but yeah, it doesn't make much.
By the way, I kind of like this, because Aussie is obviously a very likable person, but appearing next to him, I guess, rubbed off on me as well. Mike the Solipsis say YB and Aussie are two of the most likable watch stream personalities around. Always a treat to see them do a show together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. I'm not deserved. Not deserved, but I,
Dr.
I
Bob
take
says,
I take that as a slight on the rest of the space.
oh, that's also good. Yeah, I think I think Mike the Solipsis is more so giving the diss to everyone else than elevating us necessarily. I like that. Yeah, look, man, I hate everybody else as well. So I'm with you, Mike. Dr. Bob says the Tudor hat, and the Tudor bag could be a diversion. It might be,
Could
because
be.
Aussie, we all know that you have been hunting down a very special watch again through that Bukhara channel, the Platona, so to speak.
Yeah.
It didn't necessarily help that the entire line was renewed, and even the 50th anniversary model was replaced
Yeah.
by its 126 equivalent. Um,
It was always going to happen. My birth year coincides with the same decade as the Daytona, so there was always a likelihood that something was going to happen. But yeah, I've been on a hunt for the Daytona, the Platinum Daytona, and just let's throw this over here. Let's see. So I've been on the hunt for the Daytona for a while.
what
I
is
mean, I
that?
can't
Wait, what are you opening there?
just
It's like a watch roll.
right
Okay.
there, right there. So I've been on a hunt to get an upscale version of that. But it's ridiculously hard. Like it was my 40th birth year watch supposed to be, and now I'm 41. So that sort of tells you the whole story. Now I haven't given up, but certainly I thought my AD sort of didn't really care about me anymore.
Mm,
But I think they care about me a little bit, just a little bit after this piece.
mm. So please hit the like, everybody. Ryan, welcome, welcome, welcome. Ali Reza was saying that the Penguin is now a panelist. That would be lovely, of course. Having a third panelist could be lovely. I think. Um,
You're going to see this a lot more often. Unfortunately, it's the only real way to do this.
you mean see your crotch? What do you mean?
No, no, no. This neck thing. I
Okay.
mean, like just my crotch, but let's see. There we go. It's a good, quite unflattering, but I mean, yeah.
No,
All right.
I think it's very practical.
Is it? Yeah, for watches, you kind of want your hands in front of you, and like a tripod sort of literally gets in the way. So I've I've saw this, and it was good. So here we go from the Tudor boutique here in Las Vegas. All right, I'll just put it here.
Uh,
I'm I'm screwing you up.
no,
Maybe,
uh, that's okay. I'm just fumbling.
yeah. Okay.
All right.
So there we go from the Tudor boutique in Las Vegas.
The one that's run by Bukhara, so by the company, so to speak, by
Yeah.
the.
This is the first time I looked at this actually, so I'm kind of happy that I've talked about both in the same sentence, and I don't know if it's meant to be a, I don't know, an open secret that the boutique is owned by Bukhara, but yeah, okay, here it is.
No, no, they're actually pretty transparent about that, because not just because of that card, but also here, for example, um, there are two, right? In Southern California, two very prominent ones. Maybe since then, one more opened. I don't even know, but it was quite specific that the one in Westfield Century City is owned and operated by West Time, and the one that's in South Coast Plaza is operated by Tournon, which is
Hmm.
just Bukhara by another name as well. So it's
Yeah.
I don't know, especially what it means for one to be operated by Bukhara, other by Tournon. When both of these companies now, in about 2 days, are officially going to be part of the Rolex network,
Right.
because as I explained in another video, another recent video, that deal has been now finalized. But then again, the shtick that we have been given, and the one that I trust so far, is that they are going to maintain their independence. Bukhara is going to maintain their independence. Um, so yeah, I don't know what it really means, but it's the closest thing that you have, I guess, to a brand exclusive boutique that belongs to Rolex corporate structure.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, you made the video. You're the first one to call it out. The sale is now approved and assumedly final. So I'm sure integrations are starting to happen. Okay, let's get on with it.
Yeah, let's see it.
These are pretty standard boxes, and just like the other one, but they don't have like the white sleeve like the Rolex does. And uh, 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 uh,
Oh,
of course, like if you're getting an allocation piece, the watch gets delivered in a white cardboard box. This thing's just for show. So let's put this away. I'm sure there's tags and stuff and cards in there I've never looked at. The watch has never entered that box. So I do have a video coming up on my channel. It came in a white box, the coffin, with pink in
I kind of love
in whiteboard marker.
love this roll, by the way. Tell me about this roll before you open it. I mean, the
Yeah.
camo is great, but it also has this sort of, I don't know how to describe it, kind of a fluorescent quality to it.
Yeah, yeah. So so this role sort of came out about 1 year ago. There were a few YouTubers that got onto it, whether or not they were paid or not, I don't know. I bought a couple, and honestly, for the price that they normally go for, I don't think it's worth it. So their normal price for like the 3 watch roll is about $160, but you can see here like there's like stitching that's loose,
Hmm.
um, and just by the design, the sort of the edges sort of start falling away from the from the from the from the watch roll here.
From the
Sort of,
flap.
yeah. So it's not really, triple digit worthy in my opinion. But on Prime Day, this thing was $80. For $80, this is competent and it looks nice. All right, let's go for it. Dun, 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 dun. okay, we got a
Oh,
little bit of confusion going on. Which one is it? It's this one. And just so if it's not apparent, that is the
pink.
pinky.
It is a very light pink, by the way. At least on camera from far, it registers like that,
Yeah,
like almost white. In fact, from far.
it's a pale pink, but it doesn't require a lot. Like it doesn't vary too much. Like in sort of different lighting conditions, it's still pink. Unlike say the Hulk, where okay, it's green there, black there. You know, it varies a lot in
Yeah,
just in the same light. The angle change a lot. In this, the angle doesn't do much to really change. It doesn't play with the light, good or bad. It doesn't play with the light. So yeah, here we go. Here's the pinky, or I'm fond of the Miss Piggy. You know, I'm not
Miss Piggy.
pretentious. You know, I don't really care what the watch is called or not called at all. I mean, if you just want to say BB Chrono Pink, at least it's referencing a color.
That's the official name, right? Tudor Black Bay Chrono Pink.
Yeah,
That
pink.
is
I'm not sure if it's in quote marks, as if like it's not really pink, but
I I think it's like, quotation marks sometimes, like you said, can be like scare quotes, but in this case, I think it's just a way of emphasizing it
yeah, it just
in a way.
emphasized.
There is, yeah, it's in fact, this is Tudor goes pink again, this time with a brand new watch, Tudor Black Bay Chrono Pink. Might not be for everyone, but that's okay because few of them will be ever made. And by the way, I wasn't just exaggerating. I will share that those screenshots a minute later. Jake Brooks, by the
Well,
way,
thank you, Jake Brooks.
1999. Thank you so much for this super chat. All of this really does matter. Noise pickup Aussie. I kind of like the Jubilee. That's what I was going to ask you next. What do you think about this being on the 5-link bracelet, since Rolex doesn't want to tarnish their own trademark by calling it
Yeah,
Jubilee?
they don't want to wreck their trademark. Clearly, I mean, I don't think it's really. Maybe we go close up on the.
Of course, let's
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. So the real differences are obviously the dial. That's pretty obvious. But what isn't obvious is that this is the only way that you get, you know, factory with your watch, the 5-link bracelet for the Black Bay Chrono. And this is actually pretty significant because, as I said, they don't make this for the regular chrono. It's not an option that I last recall.
Mhm.
And this isn't just like they went over to the Black Bay, 36 cabinet and pulled some Jubilee bracelets off. This is not the same 5-link that is found on the other watches. You can see that the individual links are sort
Mhm.
of oval shaped,
Yeah,
right? And
like olive almost.
yeah, I don't know what brand has that. I mean, the certainly the Speedmaster bracelet has sort of these, circular, elongated links, but it's not like this. So this is a bracelet that is unique to the pink chrono, which is interesting. It the links are quite elongated compared to, say, a regular Jubilee bracelet, which is basically a hemisphere. So these are quite flat in terms of how they collect light. Now they do curve off, obviously, like a 5-link, but this is a unique bracelet with a 22 millimeter, end link. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's easy enough to go ahead and say, oh, okay, we've got a unique dial, and it's just a pink dial. Execution-wise, this is not a difficult dial to make, right? I'm not. I love it, but I'm not going to pretend that this is like, ooh, like a piece of birch wood or something. It's
Yeah.
not an unbelievable dial to get, and it
A
does
lot of
have
people
T-fit.
comment, by the way, and you can judge this as well, having put it up next to the Daytona and the Speedmaster, two iconic chronographs. People say it's a thick boy. What do you think? How is the wearing experience, considering it's significantly or noticeably thicker than the Daytona and the Speedmaster?
It's a big watch. It always has been, but if you
A
can
little
see
further down.
against the if you can see against the Speedmaster, it actually isn't much different to the Speedmaster. But what they do on the Speedmaster is that really the mid case is only like 30% of the watch height. So by mid case, I mean this flank here.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that it's only like 1/3 of the total height of the watch. So on your wrist, it's sort of a chameleon in terms of it hides its height a lot. But what the Black Bays are considerably guilty of, and all Tudors, a lot of them are a little bit big. Sorry, something fell. Is that this huge flank over here, right? And on the Pelagos, it's sort of this flank gets broken up with a helium escape valve. So on the Pelagos, it's a little bit more forgivable. But the reality is like getting Daytona levels of sophistication is not going to be that easy, guys. Like, if you want a Daytona, get a Daytona. It's not,
Right.
I didn't buy this because I was lacking a Daytona, which is the wrong reason to get one of these. I wanted something that was just fun, fun, quote unquote, summer watch,
Yeah.
which I think in the previous years we labeled the Breitling. Which Breitling was the watch of summer? I don't know.
No one. I mean, it was so a watch of that summer specifically that no one remembers what watch it was. Right. But
Right.
amazing, great
Yeah.
achievement there.
Yeah. So this is the watch of the summer of 2024. It's a fun watch. This is not going to be someone's, you know, Garter watch. It's not going to be their one and done. And I've got enough. My entire collection is like 11 watches. Every single one of them is basically a one and done, except maybe the Air King. Like you could live with that watch and not get another watch. So I've been on the lookout for pieces that are really the opposite of that. Something that is a little bit more bold and fun
Yeah.
and silly, something to warrant the 5% of wrist time that it's ultimately going to get,
And
just
also,
compared to the rest of the
ju-
collection.
just to add to your case, perhaps, I know you love golf. I know you were even at some point in your life, I don't know how far away this is already, we're pushing, to become a professional even. And I know you're a big fan of Bubba Watson as well, and pink is his favorite color. And I know you play actually golf with some of your, preferred watches as well. Maybe this will get
Yes.
some wrist time on the course, no?
It's a little big. It's a little big. Like swing a golf club with this thing. Like as I said, this doesn't have to be my Garter watch. And despite having gotten it last Wednesday, um, I didn't wear it over the weekend. So over the weekend, I
Hmm.
went camping at the Grand Canyon. This is not my camping watch, but I'm not sort of like cheaping out. It's like, oh, I don't want to take a valuable watch. My camping watch is the Hulk. So it's not, you got to wear your watches and love them. It's just that this is not a camping watch. This is not for
Yeah.
that. It is 200 meters water resistant, which is, 4 times this and double that. So I expect it to be a little bit of a bruiser, but at the same time, um, if you went to hell and back, which watch would I rely on? It's going to be either the Daytona or this one.
Yeah.
I would hazard a guess the Daytona is still the more durable of these two. The B01 at least though has been in production for more than a decade. I think like 14, 15 years at this point. So that's not bad, but Breitling doesn't have 10-year service intervals for that movement. It's not the same thing.
Right. And the Breitling reference, for those who might not know, is up until this generation, and maybe the Chrono is up for a refresh, we will not know. Tudor does use the same movements as the B01, the Breitling engineered movement. It's kind of their way of sharing some expertise, some R&D, so to speak, because Breitling gets out of that the movement that is used in the Pelagos for their super ocean heritage diver. So that was Aussie's reference. It actually looks good, man. It's not, again, it's not necessarily my style. I mean, it kind of puts me off in a number of ways, and the pink dial is the least of my concerns, to be honest. But I'm
Yeah,
really glad to see it on your wrist.
yeah, this doesn't have to be anyone's favorite watch, right? It's just it's never meant to be that. So anyone like giving it a new nickname like a Miss Piggy or something like that, I'm cool with it. It's fine. It's not meant to be a serious watch. It does cost about like 6,100 out the door, I think, but it's not meant to be a serious watch.
Which is
It's
not, by the way, I mean, that's not a small sum for a piece, right?
right,
Even at
right,
that level.
absolutely, especially for a Tudor. I mean, I don't think there's a more expensive Tudor, right? Until you get to like precious metals, right? So it is what it is.
By the way, this is speaking of Breitling. Uh, this is the Breitling Endorsee Erling Haaland. One of the most persistent goal scorers of the game. He is wearing one of these Tudor Black Bay Chrono pinks. David Beckham, of course, and the rumor always was that this was a piece released kind of in collaboration with him. Of course, he is, in fact, the Tudor ambassador and part owner of Inter Miami, the MLS team. And this is their pink, the team for which Leo Messi also plays. And Aussie, is this okay? You're not gonna go into a fit because I will show your arch nemesis.
Yeah, we can forgive it for a little while.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg was also wearing the Tudor Black Bay Chrono pink. So this is the company Aussie keeps. Not too bad. Not too bad, Oz. You have come a long way.
Yeah. So there is something we should discuss a little bit, and it certainly is like the whole part of like me getting it is it's a little bit weird for Tudor to have such a piece,
Mm.
where it's like super hype. And I asked for this like as soon as they announced it, and it's not like me calling dibs that got me the watch. No one could. There's no such thing as a list, so it's not that. But what I'm trying to say is, I genuinely just like the look of this one. As I said, I've been trying to keep an eye out, and they're my favorite brands, Rolex and Tudor. Simple as that. Like my
By
collection
far.
is basically Rolex and Tudor, and then this one Speedy over here. That's it. So if Tudor or Rolex come out with something a little bit crazy, I'm going to evaluate it. And I was already trying to pull the trigger on the Panda Black Bay Chrono, but they just didn't have one in stock. Like a couple of times that I went to an event, there's like, okay, they didn't have it in stock, so that's that. Um, so it is with definitely a mixed feeling that I had when when they told me like, nah, that thing is like beyond ridiculous. Like that we're not going to get X number or Y or blah blah blah. It's going to be a few and then done. And don't even that like the manager was just like totally like don't even ask. It's not even like we don't even know if we're going to get some. Um, but then lo and behold, I get the call. So no, it was even more complicated than that. Like when they started coming out, like the
Yeah.
first round, um, because I'm trying to get the platinum Daytona, I really didn't want something quote unquote super hot on my account. To just I'm waiting for the platinum Daytona. I don't need a fun watch. I want this just as a fun watch for the retail price, but
Yeah.
I don't need to burn up, kudos or whatever mathematics happens inside of the AD game. My priority is the Platinum Daytona. This is just a bit of fun. So when the first one came out, I was like, hey, look, don't send that watch to me. Like, if it means anything like that, there's a little miscommunication here and there, and I think I pissed off my Tudor AD rep SA, and I don't know. Like,
Now wait,
there was nothing to make up for it. I didn't think I was even in the running, but I
do
just
you
made
have
sure. Like,
do you have a different sales associate for Tudor, even
yeah,
though in the same boutique? Yeah.
yeah, because the Tudor is sold at Booker as well as they have the boutique. So
Yeah.
this is from the boutique.
Great. Great.
And so it has a different SA. But mechanics wise, at some point they're managed by the same people.
Yeah.
Right? So at the director level, it's managed by the same people.
Captain, by the way, who is, of course, a member of the channel, that could affect Aussie's swing velocity for sure. Congrats. Wear it in good health.
Yeah.
Earlier, Thomas was saying Tudor, talking about Tudor big blocks. Of course, those were Tudor's answer to the Daytona before they were really setting themselves apart with a distinct identity, even though they are always clearly going to be related to Rolex, with the Valjoux 7750 movement. So kind of a different dial configuration, of course, in terms of the placement of the three chrono registers at 6, 9, and 12 rather than 3, 6, 9, classic Daytona with the date, etc. Those, by the way, are not as cheap as they used to be, but are also coming down in price. And if one wants it desperately, I would say it's not a bad time to get a Tudor big block, because remember when their new in-house movement finally hits the floor in terms of regular production models, it's certainly going to cause some sort of ticked up interest in terms of the neo vintage big blocks. So you either get one before the end of this year or wait it out and see how the new ones fare in the market, and perhaps go back to the neo vintage, because those are some very cool bargains. Have always been kind of became really expensive for a bit, but are really ticking down again in terms of the market value.
So just looking at the Chronos, the stuff that isn't specific to the pink. 2 sub-registers, timekeeping seconds, minutes, only going up to 45. I don't really understand why this register is 45 minutes. I mean, the register on the Daytona is 30. So when the minute ticks over, it goes. That's not going to be clear. So on the Speedmaster and the Daytona, the minutes register is 30 minutes, and every time it ticks, it'll do a half register. On this, it looks like it does a full register on every minute.
Yeah.
So it's certainly different.
Can I hazard a guess, because this has been also, by the way, this is why it's, I think, so appropriate, because there were always football timers in the chrono genre, right? 45 minutes. 45 minutes is one half of a football game, and that's perhaps another way that ties it to Inter Miami or Inter Miami, because I mean, a football team, right? That's why perhaps Erling Haaland likes it as well.
Does the regular BB Chrono have a 60-minute register? Should we pull that up quickly?
Yeah, of course.
My hands are tied. I can't do it right now.
No, Tudor. I think Tudor Black Bay Chrono across the board has 45 minutes, but
Okay.
I guess it makes sense that it's
That is, yeah.
appropriate for this project for that, because in a way that the Daytona perhaps isn't, right? Unless you
Right.
give it a new movement, or at least a modified movement, like they did with the Le Mans, right? Which has a 24-hour counter rather
Right.
than the 12 hours. So it's not something impossible to implement, don't take me wrong, but it would require a special edition of some sort.
Um, so I do like the date position. I do like that it doesn't have like a weird third subdial that is not of a proportionate shape. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, love AP or not, the chronos that don't have the same size subdials across the three registers, that I'm not particularly a fan of. That's not like I won't buy it if that's what I liked, but yeah, that's yeah. And what I also like about the chrono hand, it's very it's not very distracting, and there isn't a lot of text at the 12 o'clock. While on,
Mm-hmm.
say, the Daytona, you got little book over there at the top at 12 o'clock, and the Omega, the chrono hand actually completely covers the Omega logo. Um, it's a nice applied indice these days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you set this to, we'll just do a quick reset here. So when you do a reset here, the chrono hand doesn't really overpower that 12 o'clock position on the dial. So it's the only chrono that I think I prefer having it reset to 0. While on the Daytona, I kind of like having it like down here between the two subdials, or over here, just to stay out of it, so I can do some reading while I'm on the bus. So I can
That's a good one. But yeah, that's, you know me. I like my dials as minimal as possible. Except, of course, when you have to have some sort of balance. You have to have some kind of compromise when you want a complication, and chronograph is one of those things when you can afford to have a busier dial. And I think, again, having a 45-minute counter kind of befits this watch, because, again, when you have a 30-minute totalizer or a 60-minute totalizer, that goes, I feel, better with an hour counter. I don't know, maybe it's because of that evenness. It's either half an hour or an hour on the minutes, and then that takes over to the hour. Whereas a 45-minute timer, I feel, is less in need of counting the hours separately. I really do think that, I mean, I love that game. I like seeing chronographs with a 45-minute counter, because that makes it a football timer. That makes it a good way of actually timing one half of a football game. So it's great.
Yeah. So while we've got it reset to 0, another big thing, yes, the red tip is a nice touch. Another big thing with Tudor, and honestly a lot of chronographs, is whether or not your chrono hand actually does reset to 0. And I know there's people who have this watch and it doesn't quite reset to 0. And is mine one of those? Oh, geez. Is that? I don't know. I know that Omega don't give a shit. Like, like if you find that yours doesn't reset to actually 0, they don't care. It's within tolerance. That's what they'll tell you. So make sure you get, you do your own QC. Now, unfortunately, on allocation pieces, if you find a problem, you're going to have to say yes anyway. They're not going to say you'll get the next one that
That's
comes
right.
in.
Yeah.
So when I looked at this, I looked at it very carefully. Everything externally is perfect. Chrono hand resets to 0. That's good. Minute subregister also 0. That can also be off too. It's like, it doesn't have to be perfect. The minute hand actually had what I thought were either scratches or blemishes right near the tip, like across before it starts,
Yeah.
angling to a point. It
Something
had
something you could see with a loop, I'm assuming.
no, I could see it with my naked eye.
Okay.
But this is a big watch, so there aren't any features on it that are actually that small. Um, and I'm a big boy. I'm like, I'll take it, but just assure me that Tudor will make good. And by all means, Tudor don't necessarily have the best watches on delivery in terms of flawless every time, but I've
Right.
never heard of anyone not getting service. Now it might piss them off. They may have expectations. It shouldn't happen. I'm like, it shouldn't, but you know, if you can make good, then make good. That is what it is. Anyway, so Abigail uh, took the watch and said, "Let me go make sure." She went off to Bucharest, a couple doors down, because that's where they have the technical teams and managers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's there for quite a while. And when she comes back, the watch was perfect. The minute hand was fixed. So they opened it up. They presumably took the hands off and cleaned them up, or maybe they replaced. They said that was just a smudge. So either way, they fixed it on the spot before I had to make a purchase. But it does tell you, even on a piece as with this much attention, there could still be a blemish here or
Yeah, of
there.
course. I mean,
Look at carefully.
at the end of the day, when it comes to the assembly of a watch like this, that still requires a lot of manipulation by human hand. We like to imagine, like, it's basically droids that make watches in Rolex factories and the new Tudor manufacturer. That's not exactly it, right? There's still a lot of human factor that is involved with these. And yeah, they're not above introducing a smudge or scratch here and there. And like you said, Aussie, sometimes it behooves you to do your own QC, as it were. Just take
Yeah.
a general look at the watch, and if there is something that you're not satisfied with, don't hesitate to point it out.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad I did. And they're very professional and very good. And like their course of action was to get it done on the spot. So I don't have to be without this for months. I would have taken it. I wouldn't have liked the blemish, and I wouldn't have accepted it. I would have said, okay, I've had my fun for the month. I'll hand it in and wave goodbye for it for a little while, presumably. And
Hmm.
I expect that that's what would happen in a store less capable than the Bucharest here in Las Vegas. I expect that it would have to be
Yeah.
sent off and to New York. As far as I know, they're fully manned up over there for handling Tudors now. I think in the past, RSCs were the same place that would handle a Tudor. Now my
Yeah.
understanding is it's just RSC New York, and they have a Tudor specific, uh,
Team.
yeah, whatever it is. So yeah, so I'm very glad that I pointed it out. It wasn't an issue, and they fixed it on the spot, so everyone is happy ultimately. And should it have ever happened? That's a choice for you, okay? Like Rolex are pretty good. I've yet to find a Rolex delivered that had those kinds of mistakes that you would find on, say, a Tudor or an Omega. Um, so if that's your criteria, just buy Rolex. No big deal.
I want to
Just
I want to add something, or say something rather, based on something that Thomas pointed out. Again, it's not a watch for everyone. I could, for my part, nitpick about a lot of things, but I think the most legitimate criticism, beyond the dimensions and case design and thickness, etc., that is brought to the Black Bay Chrono, it is really the snowflake hand, I think, that gets me at the end. Because as much as I understand and respect the fact that that is part of their signature, and especially their contemporary brand identity, right, we are closing on at 9 o'clock, and that kind of, more or less kills the entire running seconds
Sub-registers,
counting.
yeah.
Again, it's not like, reading a chronograph is always a challenge, and it's a challenge that becomes more and more daunting as you get older, no doubt about that. But again, I think it is, I will still concede what you said, right? If you want Daytona like elegance, you go with a Daytona. What is it? Is it spending history that you want to build? Is it the secondary market that you go and pay a premium? Is it perhaps going with like a 5-digit, slightly older model that presents some sort of bargain? But you want a Daytona, you go with a Daytona. This is a different kind of watch, even though I think it could be improved by a more sleek hour hand, if nothing else. That being said, the Tudor Rose, I'm not going to split hairs about that. I mean, even American Airlines, which had probably one of the best logos of all time, bar none, changed their logo. Modern logos are really leaning heavily on the minimalist side. The Tudor Rose is just too gothic of a design to be on the face of a watch in year 2024. Now, trends change. They might come back again, but I think the shield is actually quite nice and elegant for today. Dr. Bob's Nightmare, thank you so much for this $5 super chat. Did the Jacob & Co. Astronomia in Bukhara still have a giant thumbprint on the crystal?
On the crystal. I haven't looked at the Jacob & Co. stuff in like really up close. When they carried a lot of them, yeah, it was really fun seeing them all, but I didn't look at any of them like really up close. In fact, I think they're so delicate and so expensive that they're not really jumping at the opportunity to show even me those watches. So they'll they know me, and whatever, they know me, and they're not jumping at the chance to take those out of the case. I think training on that one is like, don't take that out of the case unless you really need to. Not that it's a watch that a lot of collectors really revere, I guess, but it is what it is. It's still a 6-figure watch at retail, and it's not exactly the most durable thing, I imagine. Yeah, so in defense of the hour hand, I personally find the chronograph a pretty useless complication. I tend not to need, like, especially when you get to the subdial. So if you need to do to second accuracy, yeah, chronograph is the way to go. But as soon as you're getting into the minutes and hours, I cannot read them. Like, as I said, you have to remember whether or not the sub registers do like the half minutely ticks on the and then on the, it's just, sorry, the half hourly. It's just, I gave up. I actually tried to run when I got this. I tried to do running with this, and I looked down. I'm like, I'm running. I'm trying to read. I
No
cannot.
way. No
It's
way.
like it's pointless. And then so, okay, can I just simply read the time with it? And in reality, even like with this, it's sort of like the hands get lost. Like,
No. Yeah. I mean, I
it's
think
not bad. I love the watch, but I mean, in terms of actually reading the time, this is actually pretty good.
I think, honestly, I wear all sorts of Seikos when I'm working out. And I love doing cardio, so I would be running, etc. all most of the time. It's really my King Turtle that really pleases me in terms of legibility. But any Seiko diver for me, that's the sports watch I like wearing when I'm doing actual, real physical exertion kind of sport. And yes, you can glance at the time and see it very quickly, but if it were a chrono of a similar size, again, I still wouldn't be able to read the registers at a glance. That's not really what they are for. I mean, if you're a Formula One level, uh, you know, racing car driver, I'm sure you can do a lot of things at a glance, but that would be your inert skill and years of training, not the future of the chronograph. They also are not allowed to wear, any wristwatches in the cockpit anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in those in truly tough environments, like having a watch or even a ring is not ideal. So, and as you point out, literally not allowed by the rules. But yeah, in defense of the hour hand, it is a very legible watch. At least it's a big watch, and the aloofness of putting the snowflake on a chronograph means that it's blocking the registers every now and then. It's completely guilty of. But it doesn't have to be perfect.
well, no, I mean, you're right. That's if we are going to embrace that as life philosophy, nothing ever is perfect.
Yeah.
By all means. I mean, look, at the end of the day, consumers of luxury goods, because and we are guilty of that, because we attribute so much more, we project so much more onto those goods than their utility. Inevitably, even with things that we choose to buy, we will nitpick. We will find one or two imperfections. Even if we love them, we will
Mhm.
find something that we don't necessarily like. So at the end of the day, I think that's what it is for me. I think it's a great watch. It's something unique that Tudor adds to its catalog, and I like, again, that they do things that Rolex itself might not necessarily do. Rolex, of course, brought back those Neo Stella dials to their Oyster Perpetuals, and they have been really popular to the point that Rolex had to discontinue some of the most popular ones. But I don't see them necessarily making a Daytona with a pink dial anytime soon. Because the most special Daytonas that they have done more recently, beyond the platinum one itself, have been more so paying homage to their own past rather than doing something truly adventurous and outside of the box, like introducing a new dial color. So I like that Tudor is still used for things like that. And yeah, I mean, 116500, the Panda, is still very beautiful. And I know, Oz, you still prefer this particular generation to the more recent one. So if you like it, please hit the like button. Yeah, is that still the case, Oz? That you like the
Yeah, for
116
sure. For
generation?
sure. It just strikes me as the more elegant watch. And just as like the engineer in me, I really would never put a metal bezel around a ceramic uh, insert. Like it just strikes me as being less durable. Um, but certainly the new one has an appeal, just like the Black Bay Chrono Panda has its appeal with the outer rim. It's got a little bit more of a retro feel. Um, and then with the Zenith era indices, there's a lot more throwbacks in the 12 Series Daytona, but the 11
Hmm?
is hard to fault it. I mean, a lot of people, like I think the main one, I think Ali also says this, the issue is that it's not a big watch
Yeah.
for me, I've got a tiny wrist, so between these 42 millimeters, 41, 38, I'll take the 38. This is perfectly fine. But I totally get it if what you need is something to really fill out your wrist a little bit. I totally get it. The Daytona does look like a tic tac on some people's wrists. I think I can't remember who it was, but like they were a wrestler or something and they had the Daytona. It just looked so small.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's true that, but that's again, that's what makes that watch so popular for so much of the demographic, including woman collectors, by the way, who always had a predilection or always had an affinity for the Daytona because it is the smaller Rolex sports watch while abiding by a lot of the classic codes of a Rolex sports watch. Whereas, of course, that makes it perhaps unwearable by some of our bigger brothers.
I got to say, putting the Omega on a Tang and Buckle strap makes this part of the experience a lot easier. Being
But
able to see
yeah,
the
by all
exhibition,
means, yeah.
so you can see all of the Chinese craftsmanship that put all of this together, all the 10 and 11-year-old children putting all these beautiful pieces together. But yeah, I gotta say, like the thickness of both of these watches, I think it's pretty similar. Like
Except,
if
like you
I,
said, it's like the case design that also
yeah,
contributes
it's
to the appearance, at least from the side profile of the Black Bay Chrono.
yeah. So the Omega, it wouldn't surprise me if this is like 14 point something or around that range, but it wears like a Daytona in terms of, not quite, but it wears pretty close. Just because its mid case is just so slender. And then another trick that they do is that the these aren't like crown guards per se, like it's part of the case. So it's a 42 millimeter watch, but if you go to the bezel, this is 40
Mhm.
millimeters over here. So the Omega wears a lot smaller than its implied 42 millimeter and probably like 14 something diameters it would imply.
I think
Meanwhile,
I
go ahead.
think it's the official number is like 13 and a half on the Sapphire Sandwich, as they call it, which is the version you have, right? With
Yeah.
the exhibition case back. Whereas the Daytona is like a whole millimeter thinner,
Hmm.
again on paper. Um, but yes, you also the design of the case with those twisted lugs, etc., makes it wear smaller, I would say, than a
Yeah.
42 millimeter overall, because it's like I don't like 42 millimeter watches for myself. It's not my style. Speedmaster, even though I never really desired to have one permanently in my collection, um, it looks good on my wrist. Even though I do prefer the pre-professional, like pre-moon
Hmm.
um, case design and dimensions for that, which is preserved for the 321 in the current configuration, and also the 57, but that's almost a different watch.
Hmm. So yeah, just looking at these chronos, I kind of need to replace this Speedmaster, I think. I don't know. Just the standard Speedy is just not quite special. So there was a call like whether or not I would go for a Speedy if it was offered. Sorry, not a Speedy, a Snoopy if it was offered.
Mhm.
Um, I think the 321 will just never happen. Like they'll just never get delivery of one of those.
Mm.
Um, so we'll see. That's something else on the radar. The next chrono hopefully is the Platinum Daytona.
See,
But
this is the one that you are gonna constantly get now. Cloud Can, and it's not. I mean, looks like a moon swatch, right? Yeah. Especially when you put it with a rubber strap like that, I'm sure um, it does inspire that look. I mean, Aussie is not really responsible for how Omega and the Swatch Group aspires to cheapen its own brands and shit on their own horological legacy. That's not really his fault. But I mean, the point is well taken, Cloud Ken. You're absolutely right.
I love Cloud Ken.
Me too. He's
He's
very active on
very,
your
very
Discord as
real.
well.
Yeah, very, very real, unfortunately. Because he's normally saying something that's, you know, hurting my feelings, but I'm like, he's probably right. Putting this one back on, I do have the FXD. This has been one of my most worn watches this year,
I know,
second
great.
only to the Hulk, actually. I don't know. This year is just the year of hard wearing watches, I think, because I've just been doing a lot of camping and outdoorsy stuff, so it just makes a lot of sense to be wearing these ones.
Guys, by the way, I think this is obvious, but it does bear repeating. Of course, Aussie Expat has his own channel, which is directly linked in the title of this video, at Aussie Expat Watches. So check it out. I think he can probably drop the link to his Discord as well, which is really my home on Discord to talk watches and plug my channel and whatever else, which Aussie has been always too kind to allow me. So, you know, feel free to become part of that community. Cloud Ken is part of that community for sure, and many others in the chat today who were going back and forth are also part of Oz's Discord. I think it's called, what is it, horological deathmatch or something.
Yeah,
ridiculous
horology
like that.
deathmatch. I really did encourage it, and for at times I've regretted it. The main idea is you can say whatever the hell you want, including in the wrong channels and topics.
It's very
And
light on moderation for sure.
I've
But
I've 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 only had to remove one piece of TNA, um, only because we have a dedicated channel for TNA. So
my
just
friend
use.
Mikey, nice to see you as well.
So yeah, please join us on Discord. We discuss all sorts of things at random times of the day. It's usually just a bit of a laugh, and and also YouTube metas that are really popular right now, or at least really popular on my home feed. That's apparent.
Guys, yes, the link just dropped there. This is what we are talking about. Feel free to join us there. We talk a lot of watches. We post a lot of watches, you know, content that doesn't perhaps find its way always to a live stream. We also talk about a bunch of other stuff. It's a very masculine environment for sure. So a lot of bullshit that men talk about behind the scenes, you will find it there.
And I also encourage self-promotion as well, actually. Like on a lot of Discords, it's sort of like, oh yeah, but don't spruik your own channel. No, if you've got something you want to share, I don't care what it is. If it's not watch related, just put it in an off topic. That's cool. It's just
Yeah,
fun seeing what people do. Like it's been
and
really.
even watch related as well. I mean, Aussie has never, you know, never told me anything because I'm posting my, you know, I'm spruiking my own channel. So that is most certainly welcome as well. But if you're a content creator of some other kind, I'm sure that would be even more appreciated because we don't have a third or fourth person spruiking their channel on something we would be interested in. I mean, like, you know, we would certainly be interested in a shooting channel, I think, a golf channel, you know, maybe someone who focuses on another kind of collectible. Cloud Ken, thank you so much. We do love you,
Wow.
genuinely. Number one, honestly, man, you know, I like the fact that you are part of our community. You are on Discord. Yeah,
Yeah, I've done a
he's a
couple of
truth
streams
teller
of
for
Cloud
sure.
Ken actually, just just on the random side topics that surround watches. Normally like Magic the Gathering though.
Honestly, I should. Whenever people mention this word, I still have some cards from when I was a kid. I should ask my mom to dig them up next time she makes it to the States and see if any of them is worth anything at this
Oh,
point.
they have to be very good condition, unfortunately.
They
But
are probably. I mean,
but
they're not
they'll at least be good memories. So I repurchased one from my childhood. This one.
in
Um,
PVD or anything, but
yeah.
yeah,
This I looked this one up. I said, is that card that I had as a kid, like my favorite card, was that actually like valuable? And
yeah,
I tried to look this one up, and this was in one of a top 10. It was in a top 10 list of worst cards in the game. In
amazing.
the entire game, across the entire catalog of Magic cards ever made, this was like number 7 worst card ever made. I don't
On
get it.
one thing I will say about Magic the Gathering, I started getting into the game and I never got really too far with my interest, admittedly, or my collection. Was around the same time when I was reading the original Lord of the Rings, about 2 years before the movies came out.
Hmm.
And I've I really liked for what you can include on the card. I
Mhm.
actually really loved their storytelling
Right.
because
They have themes of the flavor text and sort of powers and stuff like that. I also used to like the flavor text and the ideas and the artwork and
because I love I love the Panini footballer cards. I had some cards for cars, etc., and those were mostly specs or useless information, just jersey number and whatever. Those were pretty light. Like, you had to be really geeking out about the subject matter at hand to even collect them and go after them, because there was nothing else that was really special about them when it comes to football cards or race car cards and whatever else. Magic had the artwork, had that sort of snippet storytelling, some sort of atmosphere, almost like an access into that fantasy world, locked in or packed into that single card that I've always appreciated.
cool. All right. I unfortunately have to help
I
put the
know.
kids to bed.
I've also taken more time of you than I had promised. Aussie promised me an hour. I took an hour and 15 minutes of his time, but it was great to be with him on this unboxing, where he shared with us the Tudor Black Bay Chrono Pink, again, which puts him in the company of the Mark Wahlbergs of this world. Hopefully, he will get even more that strengthens that connection, such as the Platinum Daytona 126506 incoming. I hope. Let's keep the fingers crossed. Thank you so much, Aussie. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats, especially CloudCan, Dr. Bob's Nightmare, Jake Brooks, and these. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button on the way out. I really appreciate your support and presence. If you want to support the channel in some other ways, there are direct links in the video description. Subscribe to Aussie Expat Watches. The link is right there in the title of the video. And feel free to join us on the Discord as well. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you.